Are you traveling most of your day? Do you want to take Transformation Talk Radio with you anywhere you go? Well, guess what? There's an app for that. Just go to the App Store on your Apple device or the Google Play Store on your Android and search Transformation Talk Radio. Catch all of our live shows no matter where you are. Thanks for listening.
Views expressed on this program are those of the hosts, guests, and callers, and are not necessarily those of this station, its management, or other advertisers. You're listening to Transformation Talk Radio.
You are listening to the Psychic Professor's Show, The Voices of Spirit Radio, with international medium and spirit artist Dr. Susan Barnes. This hit call-in show will answer any questions you have about spiritual communication through on-air readings and spirit artistry. Get ready to receive breakthrough wisdom to enliven and enlighten your life. To say this show is educational is an understatement. Dr. Susan is the medium through which spirit communication occurs and fills the canvas of your life.
Hello, everyone. I'm Dr. Susan Barnes, and you are listening to the Psychic Professor Show on Transformation Talk Radio. Stay with us for the next hour, and we will help you experience the voices of spirit. And these voices will help you to find your own inner harmony and inner peace. Today, I have Dennis Morley with me here to discuss mediumship and astrology. During this show, Dennis will do short readings for listeners, so call 800-930-2819 if you would like to talk to us. Additionally, the fifth caller will receive a Zodiac bracelet from the Spirit Art Gallery. That is www.spiritartgallery.net. Dennis is also available for private readings, group readings, and parties. His website is www.psychicdennismorley.com. That's all one word, Psychic Dennis Morley. And now it is my pleasure to welcome Dennis to the Psychic Professor Show. Hello, Dennis.
Hello, Sue.
And how has spirit influenced your life?
Well, it's been with me since I've been born. Spirit has been very active in my life, so I would say it influences my life every day.
That's wonderful. That's absolutely wonderful. So throughout your whole life, you've been guided by spirit to do things. Is that correct?
Yes. I spent a lot of times out in the woods, miles away from my mother's home. And spirit actually are the ones who taught me.
That's quite incredible, but it's also interesting that, yes, some people are guided by spirit itself. And if you're able to listen to the voices of spirit, you don't need anyone else to instruct you. But I hear you are a medium and also an astrologer, so I'd like to talk a little bit about your astrology. I understand you write a column for a newspaper?
Weekly. It's called Zodiaction. It's horoscopes for all 12 signs.
And where is this distributed?
It's distributed in multiple places in Western New York. I also write this horoscope weekly on my website, as you said, www.psychicdennismorley.com. And I also on an local FM station for Kicks Country. It's called Chautauqua Today. I write the same Zodiaction for their website.
That's great. And so our listeners, wherever they are, can get your Zodiac weekly on your website. Remember, that's www.psychicdennismorley.com. And now I have to ask you, Dennis, how long does it take you to write one of these columns?
Because I don't use the computer to look stuff up. I do it manually. It's generally 40 to 60 hours to get the information, and then however long it takes to type it.
40 to 60 hours?
Minimally.
Oh, wow. That's a big commitment. And with your horoscopes, can you give our listeners any advice on how to read their horoscope?
Well, you would, if you know your sun sign, you would read by your sun sign. One thing that the listeners will notice right away is I don't give dates like many horoscope columns, because every year a sun sign may be different. The moon sign represents the subconscious, so if the listeners know their moon sign, they could read their sun sign and their moon sign, and the ascendant or the rising sign. If the listeners know that, then that's how others see us, and I would say look at all three. There's what's called the progressed sun, and for every full year that you're born, if you know your sun sign's degree, you go one full degree, and it'll continue to go into other signs.
That's really interesting because, you know what, I have to admit, Dennis, I don't even know all I know is my basic sign. I don't know any of the other details. And I did have a computerized one done once, but who knows where I put it. And what do you think about? So you don't believe in computerized ones because you do it all by hand. Is that correct?
Well, it isn't because I do it all by hand. And the reason I do it all by hand is because when myself have tried to use computerized data, or I had a friend whose father did a horoscope for him, and he kept telling me his rising sign was Aries, and I have a friend who studied in India, so she studied Vedic astrology, and I called her, and both of us got the same degree in Scorpio for his ascendant. So by doing it by hand just at times makes it possibly the word would be a little more accurate.
Okay, and maybe you could tell us what's the difference between Vedic astrology and what we normally do as astrology here?
Vedic astrology is the astrology they use in India. Now, the astrology used here are various kind because there's interrupted astrology, there is equal house astrology. I mean, each horoscope basically has 12 signs, and there's your basic horoscope where everything falls in a certain pattern, but when you go to your time of birth and your longitude and latitude, things become different. When you do a daily or weekly horoscope, you're either looking at the solar, which is from the sun, or you're looking at the nadir, which is from midnight or the moon.
Oh, that's very interesting. No, that's great. So, there any tips you can give us about reading our horoscopes?
I just
did. But no, I guess what I'm thinking about is when we've had discussions, you've talked about how we can't look at the horoscope as predicting things, that you have to look at the horoscope as making suggestions rather than predicting your future.
Well, we're all given free will, and basically by free will, there is no prediction. So, astrology, like other forms of readings, whether it's mediumship, whether it's the cards, no matter what form of reading, free will also comes into play, and it's up to each of us if we want to make changes or not.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. I think that that's a really important point for all of our listeners to know, is that whenever you go to a medium or an astrologer or have your cards read or whatever you do, you always have free will. So no one can predict your future and tell you what's going to happen in your life. It is purely your decision and your way to do this. Dennis, how did you get into doing astrology?
Well, for those of you who believe in past lives, I started using it when I was a neurosurgeon back in 9th century BC, and I was born with it. I mean, a lot of the gifts I'm aware of I was born with, and I really, my understanding is that when you accomplish something in other lifetimes, it's why a lot of people think child prodigy. But it's not necessarily a prodigy. You've learned it and capacitated it prior to this current life.
That's really interesting. Yes, past lives. That's another topic we should do a different show on. But so you believe that you were influenced by a past life to become an astrologer in this one. So that's really good. And we're about to take a break now. And remember that you are listening to the Psychic Professor Show with Dr. Susan Barnes. And we will be going into a break, and the way you can get in touch with us is to call 800-930-2819, because we will be doing readings coming up soon.
Tune in to the Psychic Professor's Show, The Voices of Spirit Radio, with international medium and spirit artist Dr. Susan Barnes on Transformation Talk Radio, featuring a variety of spiritual topics such as psychic art, spiritualism, EVP, psychic development, and mediumship. This hit call-in show provides listeners with breakthrough wisdom to enliven and enlighten their lives. Visit spiritartgallery.net.
Tune in each Friday, 2 p.m. Pacific, 5 p.m. Eastern on Transformation Talk Radio.
Did you know that all of the shows on the Transformation Radio Network are available as podcasts to stream or download?
Really?
Check us out. Go to transformationradio.fm. We have business shows, spiritual shows, energy healing shows, and pretty much everything in between. Something for everyone, guaranteed to inspire, educate, and transform. We are transforming the world, one listener at a time.
Do you ever feel as if you're working twice as hard but only getting half as far? Are you trying to connect with your path in life and finding it elusive? Mainstream Metaphysics Radio is a weekly call-in show where we harness our connection with the universe and use what is in our power to affect change for optimal success and happiness. This hit show bridges the divide between what is and what we do not know. Eve, named one of the country's top psychics, also known as the MBA Psychic, invites you on this journey for this live call-in show with readings, featured guests, leaders, and visionaries in both business and spiritual callings. So join Eve Thursdays at 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern on TransformationTalkRadio.com as she takes metaphysics mainstream. For more information about Eve, visit EliteTarot.com. That's EliteTarot.com.
Are you feeling stagnant or blocked in your love life, career, health, or finances? Experiencing difficulty focusing or setting and achieving goals? Tune in to Spiritual Diagnostics Radio with psychic visionary healers Carol Dorian and Justice Welling. Discover the cause and effect of unwanted patterns in life. Tune in every Tuesday at 12 p.m. Pacific on Transformation Talk Radio. For more information, visit spiritualdeed.com.
When your body is awakened, your spirit comes alive. Dana Canetto is a transformational guide, embodiment coach, and spiritual mentor assisting women in realigning with their truth and embodying who they are by connecting to the wisdom of their body. Tune in every month on Transformation Talk Radio and the Dr. Pat Show Network for Body Divinity Radio with Dana Canetto. For more information on Dana and her services, visit danacanetto.com. That's DANACANNETO.com.
And we're back on the Psychic Professor Show with Dr. Susan Barnes. My guest today is Dennis Morley, who is talking to us about astrology, and now we're going to start discussing mediumship. But before we continue, I want to make sure that everyone knows Dennis will be reading for callers. The number is 800-930-2819. And the fifth caller will receive a gift of a zodiac bracelet from the Spirit Art Gallery. Now, if you would like to read your horoscope online or contact Dennis, he will now give you his contact information.
www.psychicdennismorley.com. And wherever you see my name, Dennis, written in purple on my website, you can left-click it. It will bring up an automatic email. Just remember, it's being sent from my website, so make sure the email address you're listing is the one I can get back to you on.
Thank you very much, Dennis, for giving us that information. And now I'd like to switch from astrology to mediumship. And I'm going to ask you, Dennis, which one do you like better? Do you like doing mediumship or astrology?
Well, I guess in my lifetime, there's places where only one or the other can be used. Such as if I'm in Lilydale, I strictly use mediumship because that's part of communication service with spirits from the other side. However, I've had local radio talk shows where I've used both. And when I'm doing readings, I list myself being able to use either and more. So it really depends on the situation I'm in, because I do believe that you need to follow where you're at.
Okay, for people who don't know, you mentioned Lilydale. Why don't you just explain what Lilydale is?
Well, probably in the shortest words would be just what it says on the outside sign. It's the largest camp for the religion and spiritualism, which means people work with spirit, bring spirit through, and they call it a message service because mediums are able to give messages from the other side.
Yes, and from what I know of spiritualism, it definitely brings through the voices of spirit. So spiritualism is an old religion, but it's still alive in Lilydale. So thank you for that. Why don't you give our listeners some tips on how to find a medium? How do they pick a medium?
Well, all right, I've run a lot of psychic fairs, so if somebody came and asked me who is good, I would say walk around the room several times, maybe even consider walking around in two directions, and if you keep getting drawn to a certain person, that would be an indication, synchronicity, to go to that person. I would say, all right, Lilydale is a full village, much bigger than Casadega, Florida, even though the two are connected in ways. And I would have people just walk around Lilydale. If they're drawn to a certain house, I would say it's meant to be. In either case, if you find you're drawn to no one, maybe it's not the time to get the reading, or maybe the person you're looking for isn't there.
That's really interesting, because another way that I've seen them do it is when there's a listing of names, to kind of go down the list and see if one of the names jumps out at you is another way I've been told. Does that work for you too?
I haven't used it as a recommendation, no, because there are actually, the list of names is in the workshop book here, so yes, it could be done, but I still feel, since you're able to see living people, houses where they reside, it should jump out at you.
Oh, so your feeling is that it's better to do an in-person type of testing rather than to do more of an abstract list of names?
Well, I think we're all taught different ways.
And I think that that's a very good point to make. Every medium is different. Why don't you tell us a little bit about your mediumship?
All right, I've never not had spirit around me that I know of in this life. Spirit talks to me routinely. Matter of fact, I was being talked with just before I came here. And there's guidance. I can remember when I was younger and didn't know better, because I was brought up with 3 fundamental religions. It was a lot of fighting it, and I remember until I was around 11, when you could still walk up to a plane and greet passengers and walk out with them. A person who was coming in from England just looked at me. We had never met before, and said, if you just accept it, you could sleep at night. And that put things at ease, because I wasn't sleeping. The other thing is, a lot of people don't understand is, you do have the right to tell those on the other side, you need to play by my life. For example, I had to remind spirit that I'm embodied. They're not embodied. They forget what it's like being embodied. So they need to let me sleep, because I need sleep. And I just told them point blankly, if you don't let me get rest and don't let me get sleep, I won't let you come through anymore.
That's an interesting point. Yes, I've heard of that before, and I frequently tell my students that they can help guide spirit to help them, and they need to tell spirit how they want to work or things that they want to happen. But yes, some people I have heard get a little overpowered by the voices in the beginning until they can learn how to control it, or till they get used to it. Because what I've always been told is that they're working on the other side just as we're working on this side.
Which means it's a co-working situation. In other words, you're the channel, they want to come through. So it truly is a matter of, as much as you need to learn how to open up to work with them, they have to learn how you work and to respect you and your life as well.
Yes, that's a really good point. Really good point. And so the other question I'm going to ask you, I get a lot of people who come up to the mediums and they say that they're afraid to go to a medium, or they look at me and they say, oh no, I don't want to know. You're going to tell me my future. I don't want to know it. What do you tell people who are afraid of mediums?
Well, you just said a key thing, and we talked a little bit about it in the first segment about astrology. There is free will. And from my knowingness, because I've been doing readings for 50 years now, my knowingness is spirit never brings through anything anybody cannot handle. And also, when you mention the word future, okay? Future is a free will gift. So I tell people that even the God of your understanding can tell your future, because there is no guarantee what you're going to choose through your free will. So I don't see it as being an issue, and generally if you say that, people generally have that basic understanding from the religion they were brought up in. I think people are well aware of what free will means.
Yes, I agree with that. But the other thing that I always tell people too is that we are not going to give them any really bad news.
Which is what I said.
Yeah, and it's a healing process, and it's a healing part that I try to reinforce with people as well. And that's what a good medium should do. I mean, a good medium should be giving you some positive messages. I mean, I've heard stories of mediums telling people things like, oh, you're going to die in a blue car, and the person...
Again, that's interfering with free will. I also know in recent studies, okay, tears are healing, and tears aren't always from sad things. Tears can be from happy things. And when you hold back tears, you hold back endorphins, which allow you to heal. So when you mention the healing in the reading, yes, it's another form of healing.
Yes, and I think that's a really important point that needs to be made to everyone, that the medium should be giving you uplifting messages. If you ever go to a medium and they give you negative types of messages, then don't believe it. Then they're not working with spirit from the other side. Messages always have to be positive.
Well, years ago, I had a medium. She was in the armed services, and she would tell people that all these bad things were going to happen. 3/4 of my readings would be to help people to overcome what was said to them.
Yes, that's a really important point. And we're about to go into a break, and I just want everybody to know that I'm Dr. Susan Barnes, and you're listening to The Psychic Professor Show. When we come back, the phone lines will be open for your readings. Call 800-930-2819, and the fifth caller will receive a free gift. And so stay tuned. We will be back.
Wow. Hey, everyone. Welcome. Welcome to the Dr. Pat Show. This is Talk Radio to Thrive By. I'm telling you, I got to pinch myself some days, because when each of us gets called to do something that we so not thought was in our wheelhouse to do for a purpose that's so much greater than us, we get to show up and shine.
If you would like to show up and shine on the Dr. Pat Show as a co-host or sponsor, send us an email to inspire@thedrpatshow.com.
Do you feel that there's a bigger, better life for you? Is there anything holding you back from living the life you were meant to live? If you'd like to find your life's true purpose and calling, join the world's foremost authority on primal spirituality, David Carshare, in Becoming a Sun Radio, emotional and spiritual intelligence for a happy, fulfilling life. Tune in once a month to Becoming a Sun Radio with David Carshare on the Dr. Pat Show and Transformation Talk Radio. For more information, visit davidcarshare.com today.
Tune in to the Psychic Professor's Show, The Voices of Spirit Radio, with international medium and spirit artist Dr. Susan Barnes on Transformation Talk Radio, featuring a variety of spiritual topics such as psychic art, spiritualism, EVP, psychic development, and mediumship. This hit call-in show provides listeners with breakthrough wisdom to enliven and enlighten their lives. Visit spiritartgallery.net.
Tune in each Friday, 2 p.m. Pacific, 5 p.m. Eastern on Transformation Talk Radio.
you discovered the remarkable books at angelhealinghouse.com? Author Claire Candy Huff has channeled rare books of inspiration and insight.
Angels of Faith is an inspiring story of healing, comfort, and hope that reminds us that death is not to be feared, but embraced with joy.
One True Home, Behind the Veil of Forgetfulness, takes readers on a roller coaster ride through Angel Ariel's 5 most important lives on Earth, as well as her experiences in the afterlife, and helps us remember our own journey across the veil.
And Claire Candy's autobiography, I Am an Angelic Walk-In, which details the 2003 soul exchange that took place when Claire Candy walked out of her body and Angel Ariel walked in, creating heaven on earth for herself and others.
To find out more about these wonderful books, visit angelhealinghouse.com today.
Gain powerful insight and practical tools to support you on your spiritual journey. Access your higher self and tune in every second and fourth Thursday at 12 p.m. Pacific to A Life Untethered with Andrew Martin, Walking the Path of Freedom. Andrew is a highly attuned, intuitive oracle, energy worker, spiritual teacher, and international radio host. For more about Andrew and his services, visit thelightedones.com.
Welcome back. You're on the Psychic Professor Show with Dr. Susan Barnes, and we have Dennis Morley here talking about mediumship and astrology. Now we're going to open the phone lines, 800-930-2819, for mini readings with Dennis. And I know we already have one caller. Is that correct?
Yes, we currently have Aisha from Chattanooga, Tennessee. Aisha, you are on the air.
Thank you so much. Hi, Susan. Hi, Dennis.
Hi. Hello. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, I can. Can you hear me okay?
Oh, plenty. And your question today?
Yeah, my question is, I have recently started on a journey of getting to know my guides and the energy that has been with me since I was born into this life. And I wanted to know if you had any feelings or could give me a reading on that or any tips for connecting further.
All right. I have your guides and teachers here, okay?
Okay.
So I'm going to bring through what they're sharing with you.
Okay.
Part of it is there are people in body around you who don't necessarily accept what you're doing. Does that make sense to you?
Yes.
And as much as you try to turn off what they're telling you, sometimes their voices are still in your head. Do you understand?
Okay.
So sometimes you just got to get beyond those naysayers or the way your spirits are saying it, okay?
Okay.
Because you were brought up pretty much in fundamental religion, right?
Yes.
So there is some block there with you. Do you understand?
Mm-hmm.
So what your spirits are saying, we're here working with you. You need to learn to find your center. Have you done that yet? Do you understand what that means?
Yeah, I understand what that means. Like a sense of groundedness, a sense of an energy from which I can connect is what I understand that to be.
But it's also like, are you meditating?
Yes.
So when you meditate, do you go to some place in specific where you find yourself calm and everything else disappears?
Yes, that typically happens when I meditate. I definitely could be doing more of that.
And that's what they're asking me to ask you, is to do more of that and come from that space. That's called your center. Go to your center, go to your space, and then start working with your guides and teachers there.
Okay.
Is that helpful?
Yes, that's very helpful. Could they give me any words on... Go ahead.
I can definitely feel it's there with you. I just feel that people who are involved with fundamental religion, involved in your life, you have to learn deep inside yourself, this is your life and this is where you find your happiness. Okay?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And not everybody's going to understand that, but this is where you have to come from, okay?
Okay.
And start in your center, because that'll help you to block out the outside noise, and it'll help you to find your spirit self and to move forward, okay?
Okay.
And that's basically what I'm getting for you right now. So work with that step, and I think you're going to find things are going to get better for you. Do you utilize the white light?
Yes, definitely.
Okay, make sure to always be using it. You know, like before you go in, make sure you see, feel, experience it, know that the protecting, guiding light of God is there, of your understanding is there with you. Okay?
Okay. Okay, thank you, Dennis.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
And thank you, Dennis, for that very, very healing type of message. It was very good advice for our caller. And I guess we have no more callers in the queue. So let's see. Do you have any information or suggestions for people who want to become mediums?
The only thing I can suggest is if you're going to go to someone for a teacher, make sure they're able to teach you what you're seeking. Because everybody who wants to become a medium doesn't want to become a medium for the same reason. So just like when Aisha called, she asked, how can I go further with this? So the question is, ask yourself what you're looking for. And it means being honest with yourself, because there may be mediums out there that your vibration and their vibration just do not connect with.
That's a very good point. Yes, you have to work with someone that you trust and you feel confident about, or it's not going to work. And okay, let's see. I was also going to ask you, Dennis, you come to the Spirit Art Gallery and you've done some artwork. Can you tell us some of the things that you've experienced?
Well, a couple of years ago when we met at the Assembly Hall in Lilydale, I was able to use an iron that was unplugged, which melted wax, and then a couple weeks ago we were here and the iron was unplugged and it was still melting wax. And do I have an explanation for it? No. But did it work? Yes.
But you've also told me that you sometimes are electrically challenged.
Well, not challenged. I have too much electric. I mean, I don't wear a watch because of it. I did a 35-and-a-half-year career, and the secretaries or administrative assistants would always take my paperwork in do the copying. Otherwise, it would cost $3,000 to $6,000 plus to fix the machine because of my electricity. So I guess I don't know if it's challenged or an abundance.
Well, I think you just answered the question of the iron, because it was your electricity that was doing it rather than the walls.
There you go. But it was definitely doing it.
Now, I also know that some of the work we do is evidential and some of it is a little more abstract. I know you've had some experiences with the evidential work. Can you tell us about that?
Well, I know in one of the classes, I had somebody's mother come through, and she was telling me how to draw her. She was showing me herself, and I actually drew her, and the jewelry she was wearing, the glasses she was wearing, and the jewelry was necklace and earrings. The woman went home because she said there's a picture that looks just like what you drew, and the woman went home, and she also said it was in more than 6 different places she'd have to look, and lo and behold, there was an exact picture of her, just like I'd been drawing the picture versus her spirit.
That's pretty amazing. That's really amazing. And we're going to continue with this because there is a difference in the spirit art between art that's more message-oriented, more spirit-oriented, and more evidential. Yes. So we're going to talk about that when we come back from our next break. But I do want everybody to know that again, let's say, Dennis, tell us how we can contact you.
You can contact me by calling 716-397-3523. That's 716-397-3523. That phone number is on my website, which is www.psychicdennismorley.com, all one word. Again, www.psychicdennismorley.com. And my website does set up an automatic email wherever you see Dennis in print in purple. Just remember it's coming from my website, so you got to really check what you wrote down for your email. Okay.
Thank you very much for that information. And now we're going to a break.
Welcome to the Dr. Pat Show, Talk Radio to Thrive By. I am so thrilled to be talking to all of you. We have got Talk Radio for all of us. Are you ready and willing and able to accept all of the abundance you can muster up in your life? Check us out at drpatshow.com, transformationtalkradio.com, transformationradio.fm. Oh my goodness.
Do you want to heal your body and mind? Your body has a lot to tell you if you just learn to listen to your intuition. Audrey Michelle, host of Rewired Life Radio, can help you peel away the layers that are holding you back from living your best life. Tune in to Rewired Life Radio. Learn to love, heal, celebrate on Transformation Talk Radio every Wednesday at 12 p.m. Pacific, 3 p.m. Eastern. Connect with Audrey at audreymichelle.com. Curious about the meaning of life? Do you want to deepen your spiritual practice? The School for Esoteric Studies offers online training to spiritual seekers from all paths of life and individual coaching. Our courses synthesize Eastern and Western spiritual traditions based on meditation, study, and service applied to everyday life. The school also organizes group meditations each year to benefit humanity. Whether you're just beginning to reflect on the spiritual side of your life,
or are a more experienced spiritual seeker, the school warmly welcomes you to join our group. To learn more about our courses and services, please visit esotericstudies.net. That's esotericstudies.net. The Earth is an ever-changing being. Goddess Light Shamanic Healer Bree Gibbs guides us through the ascending worlds, bringing forth knowledge and truth. As a light creator, she is here to provide new information needed at this time in our evolution. Join Bree as she shares messages from guides, spirits, ascended masters, goddesses, and others. Tune in the second and fourth Monday, 11 a.m. Pacific, and Thursdays, 1 p.m. Pacific for Silver Gaia Radio.
Tune in to the Psychic Professors Show, The Voices of Spirit Radio, with international medium and spirit artist Dr. Susan Barnes on Transformation Talk Radio, featuring a variety of spiritual topics such as psychic art, spiritualism, EVP, psychic development, and mediumship. This hit call-in show provides listeners with breakthrough wisdom to enliven and enlighten their lives. Visit spiritartgallery.net.
Tune in each Friday, 2 p.m. Pacific, 5 p.m. Eastern on Transformation Talk Radio.
Welcome back, everyone. You're listening to the Psychic Professor Show with Dr. Susan Barnes. And we're back here with Dennis Morley, who has been talking to us about astrology and mediumship. But before I continue, I want to make sure everyone knows that Dennis can be contacted at www.psychicdennismorley.com. That's all one word. And you can reach me and the Spirit Art Gallery at www.spiritartgallery.com. If you'd like to send me a personal email message, you can reach me at spiritartgallery@gmail.com. So, again, we're back here. And when we left, we were talking about spirit art and with Dennis. And I know that Dennis has done he just gave us a description of some really good evidential art where he drew the picture, and then the woman went home and found a perfect picture of what he drew, complete with the necklace that the woman had on, her eyeglasses, and earrings, as well. So that was what we call evidential art. And the reason why we call it evidential is because spirit really speaks to the artist and enables them to do a likeness or representation of the person in spirit. Now, we also do spirit messages with the wax, and Dennis has told you that the wax he does sometimes without the electric current. It's his own magic current that creates the pictures. And what happens with the wax drawings, Dennis?
Well, the wax melts. It's the only thing I know. I mean, I've done a lot of wax. This is my second year of classes, and I've done birds of paradise flowers. I've done bouquets of yellow roses. I've done a Buddha floating in the clouds above the mountains. And I just let come through what's coming through.
Yes, but I guess the point I wanted to make was that sometimes what comes through is our messages for the people who are here, and we can read the wax drawings. Lots of times we see their pets coming through. Yes, pets in spirit. We see lots of things. So it is quite interesting experience to do that. Now, I want to ask you if there's something else you wanted to say about astrology or mediumship.
Okay, I would like to talk a little more about astrology. I wasn't thinking about this earlier, but there's a thing in astrology called retrograde. And when I do everything by hand, so in order to do astrology, you have to look up astronomical positions. And retrograde is because the Earth is spherical, the Earth's pattern around the sun is spherical, as are the moon, sun, and other planets. And probably one of the most infamous retrogrades that listeners might be aware of is when Mercury's in retrograde. And Mercury affects communication, it affects small engines, it affects travel, it affects transportation. And the key of it is if you're born with Mercury direct, it isn't a time to take action. It's a time for self-responsible meditation, self-responsible introspection, and self-responsible retrospection. And then you wait until at least 4 to 16, possibly 21 days, because more information still may keep coming to you before you take action after a Mercury retrograde. But when other planets are in retrograde, the outer planets last longer than the inner planets. And when things are in retrograde, for example, Pluto, Pluto is very masculine in nature when it's direct. At the same time, when Pluto is indirect, a lot of times it indicates a female person or a female authoritative figure versus a male authoritative figure. And the key is not to let the retrograde scare you. Now, however, let's say for Mercury, if a person's born with Mercury in retrograde, this would be the time for a person who's born with Mercury in retrograde to take action versus those who are born with Mercury in direct.
Thank you for explaining that. I have many times heard people going, oh, it didn't work because everything's in retrograde, or they're always blaming all kinds of stuff going on because the something or other is in retrograde, and you can see that I don't know that much about astrology.
Well, and again, back to what we've been talking about since the start of the show, free will. If you're using it to your highest benefit, if it's in retrograde, there are certain things you do and don't do. Just like when a planet or the sun is in direct, there are certain things you do and don't do. You find out what they are and you work with it. And again, that's a free will choice. It's up to each individual. And if you go against what's recommended, you're very likely to find out.
That's very, very good. But basically what I'm hearing from you is that someone needs to be a little bit knowledgeable about this topic in order to really read all of the stuff correctly.
Well, to a degree. I know in my chart, my zodiac, my horoscope, if something is retrograde, I don't necessarily, I might say due to transit in retrograde, we would do things differently and would explain it. Another thing that happens in our life is called a Saturn return, and that's when we have our natal chart. Horoscopes are always circular, so wherever your Saturn is where you were born, the transiting Saturn, which is out in the skies, you would use that pattern to find out where you're at. And first Saturn return happens somewhere between 27, 29, depends on the length of direct retrograde. It can affect things, and then it comes back around again about 58 to 60. And two people can even have the same sun signs. Like, I have a friend who's a moon child, same age as myself. I had a second Saturn return, and mine only crossed one time while his crossed 3 times. So everybody is very individual. So, the study of astrology is a lifetime, or as I have said at the beginning of the show, lifetimes. And when I found out about doing brain surgery by astrology in 9th century BC, I went and investigated to see if they really did it.
Thank you very much, Dennis, for being my guest this week. And next week, my guest is going to be George Hansen, who is the author of The Trickster and the Paranormal, and we'll be talking about the paranormal. And you can reach me at www.spiritartgallery.net. All of my information is there. And I will say goodbye to everyone, and until next week, and thank Dennis for being my guest. He's really given me new information on astrology. We're here at 5 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Central, 2 p.m. Pacific, and 10 p.m. GMT. So until next week, this is Susan Barnes signing off for the Psychic Professor Show.
You've been listening to the Psychic Professor Show with Dr. Susan Barnes, the Voices of Spirit Radio. Dr. Barnes' deep knowledge of spiritual issues provides an hour of lively talk and discussion about everything from historical facts to transcommunication. To download this show or any past shows, or to learn more about Dr. Susan and her spirit-inspired art, visit spiritartgallery.net.